Spiritual. Déjà vu, a fantasy tale inspired by the Emerald Tablets. In a chamber buried beneath the sands of Khem, ancient Egypt, deep below the Great Pyramid, a young woman named Serai touched a glowing emerald tablet that pulsed with timeless energy. As her fingers met the surface, her body trembled, not from fear, but from recognition. "You have returned." Again. The voice was not from outside. It echoed within her soul, a voice she had heard before, in another life, in another world. Serai was a seeker, one of the few who could awaken to her past soul streams. Trained in the art of soul remembrance by the monks of the White Flame, she had traveled far to uncover the final piece of a recurring dream, a temple of green light, a celestial glyph, and a voice calling her name not in speech, but in frequency. As she entered the inner sanctum of the chamber, she saw it, the tablet of time, etched in symbols no language could hold, yet she understood them as if she'd written them herself. She collapsed. A rush of memories, cities of light, gates of stars, Atlantean temples, and a towering being cloaked in silver and violet, flooded her mind. Tears streamed down her face. Not sadness, not joy, just the deep ache of recognition. Suddenly, the chamber darkened, and a shape emerged from the tablet itself, a figure, translucent, tall, eyes glowing gold, both the Atlantean, the immortal guardian of Earth's hidden wisdom. "You are the rememberer, Serai. Not the first, not the last. In every cycle, you return. Just as I once returned from the void." Déjà vu is not memory, it is resonance. A soul echo from a higher plane. Serai couldn't speak. She saw herself, not in this body, but in hundreds. Warrior, scribe, mystic, builder. Lifetimes layered upon lifetimes. You are feeling the pattern, the spiral of return. The soul is not linear, child. It moves in echoes. It knows what the mind forgets. Thoth turned, and the tablet behind him shifted. A spiral of light formed in the air, an interdimensional portal, just as described in the tablets. "Know ye that in the pyramid I built are the keys that shall show you the way into life." Serai stepped forward, heart racing. This was the moment from her dreams. The swirling gate, the emerald glow, the presence beside her. Déjà vu. Again. She remembered this gate not from yesterday, but from 10,000 years ago, when she was a priestess of light in Atlantis, and passed through the same portal into the higher realms. What awaits me beyond? A world your soul has not forgotten. Only your mind. Beyond is the library of eons, the place between incarnations, the origin of the soul's breath. Go, and remember. As she stepped through, time folded. Space fell away. She emerged in a city made of sound and thought, where architecture moved with emotion, and beings of radiant light floated in silent communion. In this place, Serai saw the true blueprint of her soul. Each life, each choice, each déjà vu experience was a breadcrumb left for her by herself, to guide her back to this moment. She knelt at the base of a vast crystalline obelisk inscribed with more emerald glyphs. "You are the portal, Serai." The remembering was never outside. Déjà vu was the soul knocking on the door of your awareness. And in that instant, she awakened fully, a being no longer bound by forgetting. Serai stood before the veil of Amenti, the threshold between earthly incarnation and the timeless domain of soul memory. The tablets had spoken of this place. In Amenti, the halls of the dead, lie the secrets to life evermore. But this was not death. This was rebirth through remembrance. Towering figures emerged, cloaked in starlight, faces obscured by geometry too vast for her mind. These were the 9 lords of the cycles, the ancient keepers of souls. They spoke not in words, but in frequency and symbol, pulsing directly into her spirit. "Your awakening has stirred the lines of fate, Serai. The wheel turns. The earth forgets. You are the voice to remind." One stepped forward. His eyes were twin galaxies. "Have you remembered why you came?" Serai closed her eyes. Visions unfurled, humanity lost in distraction, Earth's grid weakening, the ancient knowledge buried beneath dogma and fear. And then, her mission. The Lords gifted Serai with a map of the planetary energy grid, the ancient ley lines where the memory of the Earth still pulsed strong, Giza, Sedona, Uluru, Shambhala, Lake Titicaca. She saw that these sites were not just sacred, they were living nodes of a once golden technology that could lift consciousness back into alignment with Source. As above, so below. The geometry of the stars lives within the earth. And within you. She was to reactivate the memory points. Not with machines, but with presence, intention, and sound. The ancient tones of the halls of Amenti were still alive in her voice. But darkness stirred. The reawakening of Serai's soul had triggered more than light. Beneath the veil, in the astral corridors between dimensions, entities known only as echo hunters sensed the shift. These were beings who fed on spiritual amnesia, who thrived in humanity's forgetting. They moved like shadows that whispered. As Serai prepared to return to the Earth realm, one of them followed, cloaked in the guise of doubt, its weapon a single question. "Are you sure this isn't just in your mind?" She faltered, briefly. But the voice of Thoth returned. "Doubt is the guardian at the door of mastery. Face it, and remember more." Serai descended again into the earth plane, but not as she was. Her aura hummed with the emerald frequency. She remembered how to speak the old tones, how to anchor her presence in forgotten grid lines. At sacred sites, she sang tones that matched the geometry of the stars. Others began to awaken around her, rememberers who had long been waiting for the signal. And every time she paused, looked at a stranger, a place, or a moment and felt déjà vu, she smiled. Because she knew. Now Serai walks the earth quietly. In temples and cities. On mountaintops and alleyways. Sometimes you might pass her and feel like you've seen her before. Maybe you have. Or maybe you, too, are a rememberer, here to restore the light of the ancient tablets encoded within your soul. When you feel that strange sense of having lived a moment before, do not dismiss it. Instead, ask, what part of me is trying to wake up? Because déjà vu is not a glitch. It is the whisper of who you've always been. In a quiet apartment overlooking the neon haze of modern-day Tokyo, Kai Nakamura jolted awake. He had been dreaming of a pyramid not found on any map, its capstone glowing with green fire, a woman in robes calling out his name. "Kai! Awaken!" The voice echoed not in his ears, but in his bones. Kai was a dream researcher by day, a lucid dreamer by night. For months, he had been haunted by recurring visions, glyphs he couldn't read, places he'd never visited, and a strange sense that he was living out events already written. He began sketching the symbols from his dreams, one day matching them perfectly to carvings from the emerald tablets he'd never studied. How do I know this? Compelled, Kai coded a program that mapped global energy fluctuations and dream anomalies. When he ran the data through a harmonic filter, one pattern emerged over and over. A spiral. And at its center, 5 coordinates. One of them pulsed stronger than the rest. Mount Kurama, Japan, birthplace of ancient spiritual lineages, and home to a hidden leyline nexus. Kai didn't hesitate. The moment he arrived, he knew the mountain. He had stood here before. This is the same feeling as the dream. Déjà vu. Again. At the summit, the wind carried the hum of a tone, not sound, but resonance. And there, at the threshold of a forgotten shrine, stood Serai. No words were needed. Their eyes met, and the moment unlocked. A shared lifetime returned in full, 2 architects of the ancient grid, once bound to the emerald flame, separated by cycles of forgetting. Kai dropped to his knees. "You were the voice in my dreams. And you were the one I called across the veil." Serai smiled. "Now you remember." Together, they walked into the heart of the shrine. Beneath it lay a slumbering crystal chamber, a forgotten node in the planetary memory circuit. Kai placed his palm on the altar stone. His hand burned, not from pain, but from recognition. Serai sang the first tone. Kai sang the second. The chamber responded. Light shot into the earth's ley lines. One by one, dreamers across the world stirred. Artists, scientists, healers, children. All those who had felt strange déjà vu, inexplicable callings, or visions they couldn't name, now remembered a little more. The reactivation had begun. In the shadowed astral planes between thought and form, the echo hunters stirred.
Want to dive deeper? Grab an ebook on Etsy or a paperback on Amazon. You can also reach Jay Bahari by clicking on chat line 4.
The reactivation of the crystal grid at Mount Kurama had sent ripples through the veil, disrupting the energy web that kept humanity bound to amnesia. The beings who fed on forgetting, fear, and fragmentation, awoke. The rememberers have begun to sing again. They must be silenced. These were not creatures of form. They were intelligences made of inversion, thought forms shaped by doubt, distraction, ego, and the dissonance of a fragmented world. They entered dreams, influenced media, whispered through corrupted minds. In a hidden chamber beneath Lake Titicaca, Serai knelt in meditation, surrounded by ancient Andean stones humming with cosmic frequency. She had come to awaken the next note of the grid. But as she chanted, she was seized by a piercing vision, black smoke curling through the ley lines, blocking them like clogged arteries. A face formed in the smoke, twisted, familiar. "You've done this before. And you failed." It was not her voice. It was doubt. An echo hunter had found her. But this time, she did not recoil. Instead, she opened her eyes, voice steady. "I remember. And I remember why I came back. Again." She placed both hands on the stone altar and channeled a blast of emerald light straight through the grid line. Halfway across the world, Kai felt the disruption. In his Tokyo apartment, his energy mapping software exploded in static. He staggered back, gripped by an unfamiliar sensation, spiritual vertigo. The Echo Hunter had found him too. But it came not through fear, it came through logic. "There is no such thing as soul. You're delusional. You are alone." He dropped to his knees, unable to remember the light. Déjà vu turned into disorientation, the echo corrupted. But just as the darkness closed in, he heard a sound. A child's laugh. He turned. On his desk was the sketch of the spiral symbol Serai once drew him. It pulsed. He stood. Not this time. One by one, across the world, the rememberers were waking up. In the Scottish Highlands, a blind harpist began singing tones she couldn't explain. In Cairo, a street artist began painting glowing glyphs along alley walls, glyphs from the tablets. In Bolivia, the child with emerald eyes placed her hand on stone, and the mountains began to sing. Each of them felt the pull toward one place, the convergence site, spoken of in whispers from Amenti, Uluru, the heart of Earth's memory network. There, the final key would be turned. The Echo Hunters gathered around Uluru's astral twin, the Shadow Monolith, a massive black etheric tower that mimicked the sacred sites, absorbing their frequency instead of amplifying it. If it was fully activated, the Earth's soul grid would collapse again, sealing off the rememberers, locking humanity back into sleep. Serai and Kai arrived under starlight, along with the others. Their voices united, not in language, but in tone. The Echo Hunter screamed, not in rage, but in recognition. For even they, long ago, had been rememberers. Twisted by forgetting. Her name was Arya. Born during the reactivation of the Earth grid, Arya grew not like other children. She spoke to light before she spoke to people. Her dreams stretched across centuries. At 5, she could sing the tones that once took Serai years to master. By 16, she no longer questioned her soul's truth. She didn't learn the emerald frequency, she was it. She wasn't a rememberer. She was what came after remembering. But as the new grid awakened, so did something buried even deeper, the final lock, placed millennia ago beneath Antarctica. It was a failsafe from the time of the first fall of Atlantis, designed to reset the Earth if spiritual infection became irreparable. And now, it was activating. Not by darkness, but by light. The reawakening had exceeded the frequency thresholds. Earth's vibrational signature was ascending faster than expected. If not stabilized, the veil between dimensions would rupture too soon. Kai and Serai, now aging, met Arya at the final site, a crystalline cavern beneath the ice, where the first flame, a primordial soul fire, still burned. Arya approached the flame. The voice of Thoth echoed once more. "You are not bound by the tablets, child. You are their fulfillment. The Earth was not meant to remember forever. It was meant to become." Arya turned to the others. "This is the final déjà vu, the moment we saw 1,000 times. The moment we let go of remembering, and simply become." She stepped into the flame. The sky did not tear. Instead, it softened. Across the world, those attuned to the flame felt a stillness like the breath before dawn. The Echo Hunters did not scream, they simply stopped existing, their purpose dissolved. The veil thinned. Not broken, just transparent. For the first time in history, Earth and the higher realms aligned without collapse. People no longer needed to awaken. They simply were. Children were born without forgetting. Déjà vu became daily life. Synchronicity, the language of the world. Serai, now old, stood at the edge of the sea and watched the stars reflect in the water. Kai, beside her, smiled. "Do you remember when we thought remembering was the goal?" She laughed. "Now I understand. Memory was the rope. Becoming is the flight." And far above them, Arya walked across the sky, not as a person, but as a pattern of light, woven into the breath of Earth itself. As above, so below. As within, so without. As remembered, so reborn. The emerald tablets were no longer ancient relics or sacred scriptures. They had been lived, sung, embodied. And now, the spiral of return had become the spiral of becoming. No longer a path back, but a path forward.
In the language of compassion, he decodes old school soul in a digital age. Jabba Harry's love breaking out of wage. Soul mission breaking down the wall. 60 years deep, but his spirit is young. Every heart is strong. From the binary gates to the pixelated sky, soaring high, he's on a quest to spread love. So here